Hey everybody, it's Atheist for the Cause here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the polls and also jobs. So, if we look at the President Trump job approval polls, they're not good right now. In fact, they're really bad. Well, pretty bad. Gallup is negative 23. That's actually where it was. So that one didn't move in the wrong direction, but it was on the high end of where it normally is already. But Rasmussen, as you can see, negative 14. And let's see if I can find it here. It was negative 10. So it went from negative 14 to negative 10. Or opposite, negative 10 it was, now it's negative 14. Fox News, negative 12. Down here, it was negative 6. So where Fox News was on the low end and Rasmussen was about where it has been, it was actually in the middle for where it normally is. Um, so the now Rasmussen is on the high end. Fox News is on the high end of where they normally are. Gallup's on the high end. So this is, all not good. But I think this has to do with healthcare. So it's not actually as bad as it kind of looks. You know what I mean? Because it does put pressure on the government, though, that you know Trump doesn't have the next elections coming up. So if people care about healthcare, what they're gonna do if it's just a repeal only thing, is they're going to go after incumbents, and it'll probably be bad for Democrats and Republicans. But if you're an incumbent, you're more likely to be voted out. Now that puts pressure on Congress to pass some sort of healthcare. And, if they don't, this really won't become a problem for President Trump until he actually has, in 2020, if he's running for re-election and still hasn't gotten any sort of health care through, and he hasn't convinced Congress to get any sort of health care through, and, Obamacare is gone and all that kind of stuff, then people are going to be really upset. And Trump probably will lose the election. He has to get some form of health care through. But the good thing in my mind is the more quote unquote conservative health care is rejected, the more something closer to what Trump wants will come through. And what Trump wants is probably better for the average American, in my opinion, and it's more on a Democratic side of healthcare, with I'd say some Republican influence. But basically, if we're going to have some sort of universal health care or single payer, basically where everybody is covered or has access to health care, I trust Trump to do it in a way where it'll be, sustainable, much more than I trust the Democrats to do it. So that's one way of looking at it. Although some of you conservatives might hate if we go with single payer healthcare. And then looking at the jobs. Now, I've done, non-farm payroll jobs reports in the past, but I wanted to cover, this is the private jobs only. And so the non-farm payroll, that actually includes government jobs. And so this one takes it out, but as you can see, we've still had job growth since March of 2010. And we almost lost it in May of 2016, but overall recovered from that. I don't know, maybe there was some bad weather or something that negatively impacted this month. I don't know what happened, but then as we can see since January, basically, what Obama did does impact what Trump's numbers are, but Trump also deserves credit for this. So March was a little disappointing, but all the other months have been pretty solid. And even March, we still gained 59,000 jobs. So actually, if you look at this, Um, the March jobs, private jobs, were uh, we gained more of those than we gained of non-payroll or non-farm payroll jobs. So we actually lost like 9,000 government jobs in March, but we gained 59,000 private sector jobs. So overall, it was a net win. Um, but yeah, as long as we keep growing, there are gonna be these months. If you look at Obama, even when some of these great years where he's recovering, Obama benefited greatly from the bailout. We paid all this money to bail out the banks and different businesses, and then that was going to create jobs eventually. And so after we stopped hemorrhaging jobs, as you can see here, we were hemorrhaging pretty hard, especially January, February, and March and April, like 4 months, over 3 million jobs. We hemorrhaged, but once that turned around, it was just good going. And so Obama deserves credit for putting the economy, in a good spot, but at the same time, I mean, you have to consider the bailout. So anyways, that's what I have for you guys now. Trump's numbers, in my opinion, they're looking pretty good. And as long as we sustain this, I think he would probably prefer we do slightly better, but I mean, overall, as long as we sustain this, it's gonna this will be more than good enough to claim a healthy economy. Keep in mind, he's working off of a good economy, so you would think, yeah, it's easy to just continue a good economy, right? It's easy to continue job growth when we haven't had job loss since 2010 in March. Well, actually, the longer you go with consistent job growth, the more likely that is to turn around. So, building success on top of success is more difficult than building success on top of failure. So, unless it's like some, long-term failure, but even then, eventually the economy bottoms out, and then you're pretty much bound to come around, unless your country is collapsing. So, anyways, have a good one, guys.